welcome to Proudly Jewish. Today, I want to take a look at some comments I've received to my social media posts, to my podcast as well. And I call them responses, replies. In reality, this is hate mail. So let's start. Let's jump right into it. I have a podcast called Why Jesus Was Palestinian is Anti-Semitic. And this individual writes, Jewish identity is a total fraud. That's how he starts. Jews have no claim whatsoever on the land of Palestine or on any other lands. Only a warped-minded, demented Jew would try to make an argument to the contrary. And then he goes on to explain why Israel needs to disappear, to be isolated and disappear. I mean, this is ridiculous. I think obviously anti-Semitic. Let's jump forward. Another response, another comment to my podcast called Friends, Betrayal and Abandonment. And this individual writes, there is no rise at all of anti-Semitism, right? We would say there's an exponential rise everywhere. London, Paris, New York, LA, Toronto, Montreal, and on, right? In Australia, a couple of months ago, they were shouting, gas the Jews. The Jews, not Zion. They didn't even bother with the term Zionist. No, let's cut right to the chase here. So, but to this individual, there is no rise at all of anti-Semitism, unless, of course, you include in the definition of anti-Semitism the valid criticism of Jews, perhaps, for supporting and or involving themselves in Israel/Zionism's obvious crimes against humanity, decided by this individual, right? Yeah, there is no rise at all unless you include valid criticism, such as Israel should disappear. And remember, I'm talking about in this episode feeling abandoned by people and how Jews feel. And this person dismisses how we feel because we're not entitled to feel upset when we're mistreated because there is no anti-Semitism. No, you've proven my point. So there's another post. This is a social media post that I published not long ago at the end of the year, at the end of 2023, on New Year's Eve, I believe it was, where I wrote 2023, the worst year in Jewish history since 1945. I have lots of other Jews who have liked the post because they concur, and it's been a devastating year for Jews all over the world, a shocking one. Comment, this is one of the comments I got. Get over yourself. The 7th of October simply doesn't compare to the Holocaust. I wasn't comparing it to the Holocaust. I was saying this is the worst since the Holocaust, since 1945. Then he writes, 2023 was the worst year on record for Palestinians. Now, what's this person doing? He's saying, in other words, the Jews cannot be victims. Right? Don't go there, he's saying. Don't talk about Jews. Talk about Palestinians. Why? Because Jews cannot be oppressed. Even if they were slaughtered in the most intimate way, even if they were burned alive, mutilated, raped, even if the slaughter was indeed the worst that Jews have experienced since the Holocaust. And this is simply a matter of fact, in terms of size, in terms of scope, in terms of the atrocities. But this person won't have it. You cannot be oppressed. You cannot be a victim. I will take, and this is why we see people taking down posters left and right, calmly. And they do it calmly, by the way, because there is no social price to pay for anti-Semitism these days. Now let's get back to the comment. This person continues, Israel has done more to endanger Jewish lives since the 7th of October than any militant group could have ever dreamt of doing. In other words, he's saying, it's the Jews' fault that Jews are in danger. Anti-Semitism again. Here's another comment. 2023, remember, my post was 2023, the worst year in Jewish history since 1945. And this person writes, It's the year you all morphed into Nazi somethings, which I won't say. I won't say publicly. You all you Jews, we're the Nazis. This is Holocaust Inversion, and this is another anti-Semitic act that people engage in, Holocaust Inversion. And another person writes here again, in response to that, you mean Zionist, not Jews. Again, there's an effort. There's a common thread here, which I'm going to get to in a moment. Here's another one that's very related. Another comment. Anti-Zionism is not anti-Semitism. And he continues, anti-Palestinianism, interesting word, is anti-Semitism and Islamophobia. Nice. They're going to appropriate anti-Semitism too. Okay. Another comment in the same vein. Judaism is not Zionism. Zionism is a failed political ideology. Stop creating hate towards Jews. Again, we're at fault for anti-Semitism, right? You know why people hate you? Because of you. Remember Ernst Zundel, the right-wing neo-Nazi in Canada, I believe it was, saying years ago something like, ever wonder why everybody hates you? Maybe it's you. I'm paraphrasing. This is right up the same alley. And then another person, you learned a lot from the Germans, didn't you? Again, Holocaust inversion. So there is a common thread that we've seen in these comments, in this hate mail. And I want to make two final points about that, about these comments. Namely, that there's a concerted effort to redefine Judaism so that we are seen as a religion and not a people. And if we are a people, we are not from the land of Israel, right? It is, what they keep doing in those messages is to cut us off from our heritage as a people and define us strictly as a religion. So here are 2 points. One, there's a reason that anti-Zionists target Jewish groups, Jewish community centers, Jewish individuals, kosher restaurants, Jewish-owned businesses, and synagogues for harassment, for protest, for vandalism, for threats, for intimidation, and sometimes for violence. Synagogues in Paris and other European cities have been targeted since at least 1980. Jewish school teachers have been murdered because of anti-Zionism. So the connection is obvious, certainly to those who hate us. 2, Zionism was the movement of the Jewish people to establish a state in its ancestral homeland. Anti-Zionism is the movement to destroy that state. Denying the right to self-determination to the Jewish people is anti-Semitic, and destroying the existing state would not be possible without the massive ethnic cleansing and genocide. I mean real genocide, mass murder. And we saw what that looks like on October 7th, of over 7 million Jews. And that's half the world's Jewish population. The goal is to make the genocide of half the world's Jewish population viewed as an act of restorative justice, perhaps even a moral imperative. And I would argue that that's why the response to the October 7th massacre was pretty immediately was not very sympathetic to Jews. There was an undertone, sometimes overt, of, well, you deserved it. It's not great. I don't approve of it, but you got to understand. Why are they saying that? Why is that narrative out there? Because this approach has been effective. This horrible approach, the approach of saying that massacring Jews, even if it's half the world's Jewish population, it's acceptable, it's understandable, because it's restorative justice, because Jews have no right to be on that land. In fact, as I said, it might even be a moral imperative to do so. So all these comments that I've looked at reflect a narrative that is both highly anti-Semitic and extremely dangerous. You have to remember, no one gets to define who we Jews are but us. We are a people. We are a people with a religion. We are a people with a religion, and both are rooted spiritually and historically in our ancestral homeland, the land of Israel.